We don't show prep. So, so he had no idea.
I just barely make it in.
I'm sure you can tell, but we don't show.
I mean, let's put the cards down on the table here.
Miami Hurricanes, yeah. You know the name already. It's Mercy. Ha ha. It's a 6-ring Kane show. Can't forget the name though. Got Jazz, Blue, Vision, DJ break the game code. Ain't no changing them, ain't no breaking them. Real Portland live from the Hall Ride Stadium. Ball 14 for the orange and green. We see the 6-ring champs. It's more than a dream. This is life on the field. Beyond 100 yards of Hurricane that's never still put a damage to your squad. The 6-ring Kane show. The 6-ring Kane show. The 6 Rings Kane show. You know.
What's wrong with us? Seriously.
What's wrong with us? We're Miami Hurricanes fans.
Welcome to the 6 Rings Kane Show, a show dedicated to Miami Hurricane sports, featuring the legendary Larry Bluestein, Jazz Santana, Vish, and Danny Gillette. Let's go Canes.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the 6 Rings Kane Show, joined by Blue and DJ. How's it going, guys?
It's going good.
Great. After the everybody around the country keeps wanting to push Miami down, but I think the statement yesterday was Louisville going on the road and beating a Clemson team, and Miami went to Louisville and beat them, so I think everybody should shut the F up now.
Yeah, there has been definitely, an attempt to top down Miami's schedule, except when those same teams Miami play other teams. And we saw that with Florida yesterday, too, on their third string quarterback in a tie game with 5 minutes left against Georgia. Miami, of course, went up there against a healthy Florida team and beat the crap out of them. But that's not a good win for Miami. But, I saw the narrative after Georgia showed they know how to win. They persevered, all this. I'm like, are you kidding me?
And then Texas A&M got beat by 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, which, you go on the road in the SEC against a 4-3 team. Who knows what's going to happen, right?
I'm telling you, that's
the narrative. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't, I can't buy into anybody rationalizing, how one team is, because Indiana can make the statement because in 2 weeks they play Ohio State and they beat them. So they can make a statement that, hey, listen, we played, a Big 10 schedule, Big 12 schedule, whatever they call it.
Big 10. Big 10 with, what is it, DJ? That's your country. 18 teams?
18 teams in the Big 10. Well, I'll tell you what. Though. But, yeah, it's and the whole thing is, Miami got behind. A lot of people get behind, Oregon was losing to Boise State. I don't want to hear it. So all I know is the last couple of weeks. And yesterday I sat at that game and I just watched, you had that crazy feeling in the first half, but you know what? I think you got like in the post game, I think you got to kind of wrap anything that happens in the first couple of quarters with Miami. They just don't come out, and wipe you off the face of the earth in the first half. And, but you know what, the second half, and then now everybody minimizing what Restrepo has done. Oh, he's nowhere near this guy. But you know what? Whether he is or not better than Santana Moss, he owns a record. Just like everyone after Duke Johnson. Oh, Duke's nowhere near, but Duke is the all-time leading rusher. And people don't care about that. And for what Restrepo has done for the last couple of years, he's lifted that team and certainly deserved it. And, it's just, I hate when people minimize things, like, oh, come on, you know what? I don't like it. And I'll tell people that right now. To me, everybody was great in their own right. Andre Johnson and Michael Irvin. You don't hear Michael Irvin saying, oh, geez, he was nowhere near me. He's embracing him every freaking game and boosting him up. And And I'm sure that, as I said, sitting there, more scouts at the game yesterday from Seattle and Pittsburgh and Carolina, they like him. I mean, you know what? I mean, they think that what he brings to the table is something that very few people, he's got great hands. He runs tremendous patterns. You show me every single guy in the NFL that runs a 4.37, and he doesn't, but he's a possession guy, somebody that you put in the lineup and he's not going to hurt you. And I certainly think, not that I have to stick up for him, but I've known him since he was 8 or 9 years old. And I just think that the kid is just, when I asked Mario Cristobal Vish, last year when I sat down with him, I says, is Restrepo somebody that you would have recruited? And he goes, without question. So it shows you he's been part of that building process all along. And it's great to see Miami, win games. And, again, Duke's not terrible. Okay. Duke, they make mistakes, but at the end of the day, they got kids, so I think Miami's beating teams now that, like you said, any day, anything could happen. And certainly, Miami goes on the road against Georgia Tech, who's more than capable of playing. So, there's no rest.
Yeah. Well, there is rest in a week, but before we get into that, let's shout out our first sponsor, You Break We'll Fix. Let me get that overlay open. So, you ever run over a pothole and that causes your steering wheel to shake? Are you constantly losing air in your tires? Chances are you have a problem with your wheels, and You Break Wheel Fix is your solution. You Break Wheel Fix is Miami's premier wheel repair and restoration company. Over 20 years of experience, located in North Miami. They offer quick repairs on damaged wheels, but if you need a longer repair, they will get you a loaner for free while they're repairing your damaged wheels. If your wheels are looking weathered, you can freshen them up. You don't need to buy new wheels. They do in-house powder coating, machining, polishing, make your wheels look like new. So contact Mark and his staff at 305-748-0112. or follow them on all social at You Break Wheel Fix. Mention 5 Reasons Sports and get 5.5% off your next repair. That's You Break Wheel Fix, located at 1848 Northeast 143rd Street in North Miami, Florida. Again, mention 5 Reasons and get 5.5% off your next repair with You Break Wheel Fix. All right, guys, it looks like Mr. Santana is mobile here, so let's get him in here.
Ooh,
hey, I'm driving.
Hey, what's up, Jazz?
I missed the read. Thank God. Thank God I didn't have
But if you're really to our sponsor, you will run over a pothole and damage your wheel right now, though, and then take it to You Break Wheel Fix live on the stream. We'll keep going while you drive to Northeast Miami for that.
I like the fit
crossed
today,
that
Jazz.
doesn't happen. What's that?
I like the fit. Like the shirt, like the hat.
Thank you, brother.
Like the sunglasses.
Thank you.
Yeah, so let's get into this a little bit. Jazz, I don't know how much time you have with us for the
As long as my battery
or how safe what you're doing is. But
no, man, what are you talking about? I'm not doing anything unsafe.
All right. Well, let's start with the. So, Blue, you said the Canes don't start fast. They kind of did.
Yeah, well,
14,
yeah.
I think, and then the. I mean, I think everyone wants to hear about what we think about the defense at this point. We'll start with you, DJ. All right, thumbs down. You can verbalize it too. We do make an audio show.
Absolutely, thumbs down. I mean, I used to say the secondary played poor, but it's hard to have a solid secondary consistently without pressure from the defensive line. I mean, the defensive line is getting no pressure right now, and that's not to say that the players are bad. In terms of talent alone, we have one of the best defensive lines in the country, but the pressure is not there for the defensive line right now, which is making life tremendously difficult for the corners. On top of that, it seems like whenever we face a mobile quarterback, we tend to struggle as well. I mean, Kyron Drones, Murphy had a couple good runs yesterday as well as some throws, and the defense isn't where it needs to be right now. So I get that Miami won yesterday, but without Kim Moore, this was a vastly different game.
Yeah, no. At one point I looked down at the defensive front. We have Ruben Bain, Tyler Barron, Akeem Mesidor, and Simeon Barrow out there, and we can't generate a push.
Yeah, I'm like,
come on. How's that possible? Jazz, I know you had thoughts on that too. I don't know if you can come off mute. You're on mute.
Yeah,
go for it.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm kind of with you on that, DJ. To me, the defensive backs really haven't done a terrible job. They had a couple of nice plays that Malik Murphy put the ball right in the breadbasket yesterday, not last night, but yesterday in the afternoon, and they make some good plays. That one ESPN catch that wide receiver made, that one-handed grab was something. Some of those things you can't control, and obviously he's rolling out of the pocket. The play has broken down already, so those are the type of plays where it's kind of 50-50. Either he's going to find someone open, or he's going to throw it away, or or make some other type of play. So I'm not too concerned with the play of the of the cornerbacks. To be honest with you, I'm more concerned about the pressure or lack thereof from that front four. I think it's ridiculous that you got guys like you mentioned, Vish, on that line, and they are not able to get into pressure on the quarterback. Now, I know this is kind of crazy for me to say, but the hell with it. Put in Booker Pickett. You saw him get a sack yesterday. Go put in Armand LeBlanc.
That's not crazy.
Put Justin Scott. Put those guys in. Put Cole McConaughey in. Right? Let them go. If you guys are not going to go out there and make plays on a consistent basis, then I'm going to put somebody else in. Now, I think it begs the question, and I hate to do this, but I think it begs the question: Is it that they're not being coached properly at this point? Because they're just not getting any pressure. I don't know if is that a talent thing? Is that the wrong scheme? Is it the way that they are attacking the offensive line? Is it different? Do they need to do something different technique-wise? Or is it just that they're just not getting there because they're not good enough consistently, right? And that goes for everybody, including Ruben Bain, right? And so you'll see them flash, but flash is not enough, especially against the better teams. You're able to get away with it against some of these teams that are not as good, like Duke, but you still saw some big plays. You still saw them gash our defense on one drive that was like it took 47 seconds and they went 90 yards, right? Like it was just, I don't know if that was the exact time. I was obviously exaggerating, but it was like too easy. They made some of these play calls way too easy. That fourth down play that they scored a touchdown on, just way too easy on these crossing patterns where they couldn't, the linebackers or whoever it was that was on the coverage couldn't put it together there. You're missing a guy like Popo Aguirre. You're missing Elijah Alston. Do those guys make that big of a difference? I don't know, but something's going to have to change. You saw them. I know Jadaeus Richard got hurt, but you saw them make a change and put in Zaquan Patterson, and you saw him put some guy in the hospital, basically, right? Like that's the type of stuff you need out there. Zaquan needs to play more. You need to mix it up a little bit in the secondary, but at the same time, I'm not complaining about that secondary. I think Dione Hill did all right coming in. I think Richards had a decent game before he got hurt. Darryl Porter, he is who he is. And of course, you can't say enough about OJ Frederick. I think at this point, we got to take the freshman label off of him and say he's one of the best cornerbacks in America, period. And so, it's exciting to see what they're able to do when you can get a little bit of a pass rush or when you can get some pressure on that quarterback. You see they're able to make some plays. But if you don't, it's going to be a long night for the defense, period. And now we're going into another game, Georgia Tech, where they've got a good running attack. You're gonna be challenged again on defense, and you're gonna have to come up with some plays. And so they've got to figure it out before noontime on Saturday again.
And Jazz, I don't think you're crazy. I mean, I think maybe it could be something as simple as they just need to step back and reassess things and kind of just regain their focus. But I don't think you're crazy when you're talking about the substitution patterns on the defensive line, because right now you're trying to see what works. And not only that, but you can build depth by letting some of these other players play. And like you mentioned, I don't know if it's a scheme issue. I don't know if it's just a technique issue, but I don't think you're crazy at all for suggesting maybe some substitutions on the defensive line for a little bit.
Yeah, and even Campbell, right? Campbell's another kid that came in and did well. So why not?
Yeah, we did some stuff too where we started to go 3 down linemen and put Barron in an outside linebacker, and he was out in coverage. I don't know how I feel about that, but it was a part of the adjustment. We did make some adjustments. I think obviously in the second half, the defense, especially towards the end, got a lot better, but they still did give up, immediately out of the half, a long touchdown drive. And then next time Duke got the ball as an interception, the next time they drove it down again, stopped them in the red zone. That was like the turning point, was that incompletion on 3rd and goal, and then they kicked the field goal. And then Manny Diaz, God bless him, inexplicably, like Chris Johnson just runs into defenders on kick. He squib kicks it for no reason. I don't know what they were thinking. Right to Elijah Lofton, who Blue has been telling us since like spring. He looks like a tick, but he runs like a running back, and he immediately picked it up. We start at midfield. Like, I don't know what he was thinking, and then they throw the touchdown to Jacoby. Once it got to 8 points, it kind of felt overish at that stage, but that was the key sequence. Then the defense started hunting and really started being disruptive. But I don't know what they were thinking.
You guys remember when we tried to experiment with Richard Gordon?
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
Just do it with Elijah.
This is Randy Shannon's vision, man. It's his vision. This is what he saw. But Melissa does bring up, we were in so much man, and they were running pig plays pretty much all game, which weren't being called, which you got to adjust to that. Felt like some zone might have helped a little bit. We did a lot of scrambling because they were doing all that late shifting, and we were chasing players all over on the defensive end. Caught out that for their second touchdown, they picked us, but we were so out of position. I rewatched that because I saw the pick happen. I'm like, man, that was egregious. But then Daryl Porter was so out of position because he was trying to chase across the field when they snapped it that they didn't call it. I mean, it was their touchdown where they went for it on 4th down at the start of the second half. We were late shifting, scrambling on defense. Like, that kind of stuff is, it was a result of them, knowing we're going to be in man. And actually, again, I rewatched the game this morning and seeing like the commentators called it out too. Like, they knew what the coverage was going to be. Yeah, we did call zone on that play in the second half where he got the interception, which kind of set off the comeback as well. And Blue, I hope you're ready for show and tell, because apparently that's the only reason Melissa showed up. That's it, Blue.
I digress.
Blue, do you have thoughts on the defensive line? I guess the defense as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, after the Ball State game, the opposition improved greatly too. So, I mean, and there was, there's a lot of adjustments that Florida A&M and all them can make, but if you don't have the personnel, you can't make them. And that's what I think has happened. And I hear what Jazz is saying, but, just, you're not taking out $11 million worth of NIL. Believe me, they're not going to do that. They're going to play him right to the core. And it's just the biggest disappointment to me over the first after the last 6 games has been Barron. I mean, because after the first 3 games, we said, hey, he could be the best. Forget about one, could be the best in the country, and he's just not showing up consistently. And the linebacker play is average at best. I mean, let's face it, Mauano has declined. I mean, he makes very few plays anymore to initiate. But you know what? Who do you have? I mean, Popo is real good, but he was banged up. I don't think that Wesley has had such a great year. So if there's anywhere that you're going to make some changes, maybe insert a couple of linebackers, and certainly you're right about Zaquan Patterson. I mean, the guy, he's just waiting to do his part. I mean, he's just waiting to, but and now it looks like Jadaeus Richards can be out I believe for a while, if not the year. He screwed up his leg pretty bad, but
that looked bad.
Yeah, it wasn't good. And you know what? And I agree with Jazz, as far as the defensive secondary is not terrible. It's just that you can't put anybody out on an island for that long. I mean, they're out there and it's funny that you brought up that Chris Johnson said he's horrible as a punt returner. Or a kick returner. He doesn't follow the wedge. He doesn't do anything. He just runs into the back of people. And
Blue,
he doesn't.
We quite possibly have the worst kick returner and punt returner in college football.
Crazy,
because the other one is a whatchamacallit? He's a what's the little ball that you call Ray Joseph. What's the little ball that he slot machine? Not the slot machine. Those
pinball.
Pinball. He's like a pinball. And Chris Johnson has no vision with how fast
unbelievable. And to me, I would just, you laugh about Richard Gordon. I mean, put Elijah Lofton in there. At least he's going to find a hole. You know, I mean, he's not slow. He'll get to that. You know, nobody's going to be 4.26. You know, I mean, it's it's a little much to ask for anybody. But you look at like I was watching Louisville and the kid Watts, I believe it was the kid who returned against Miami, shoot against Clemson.
Watson,
huh?
Watson.
Watson.
Yeah, Watson.
But you watch him against Clemson last night, he was getting 35, 40 yards and coming one step away. I mean, it's just because you're fast doesn't mean you're going to be a great kick returner. I mean, yeah, it's
yeah, no, I called that out from the beginning because I saw
he's got absolutely no clue because we're sitting up there yesterday and I don't even know the scout from Seattle, but we're talking and he even said to me when I said, wow, he says to me, he goes, all you have to do, if you have 4.27 speed, and he says, that don't mean anything if you don't know how to run. And he says, now, if he breaks one out by any chance, no one's going to catch him. But you can't. I mean, at least somebody like, you look back at a DJ Dallas, I mean, here's a guy who knew how to read the wedge. And, I mean, who does the special teams again? Who's the special teams coordinator?
Mario
does the special teams. Oh my God, he needs
he's
to step away from the offensive line for a while.
Maloof, right? I think that's his last name. Maloof
yeah,
or something
but they
like
need to. I mean, if you have a weapon like a guy like that, speed wise, I do nothing but just watch film of good kick returners and let them watch what you have to, because they're blocking up front for him, but he's going away from where they're blocking and going right into somebody's
back. No, you could see it. Melissa and I were sitting next to each other. You could see it every time. It was like, why didn't you just cut that outside? It was wide open. I mean, run behind that blocker. But I pegged this from the beginning. Like basically the first time I saw him, I was like, I don't think he knows how to run.
No, he doesn't.
He's fast, but he doesn't know how to run.
Yeah.
And I will say though about this, like I wouldn't mess with the punt returner right now. It's too high risk situation. I think you just got to ride.
You just need somebody with hands to just hold on the ball.
But kick return is different. I think
different.
I think you can get maybe Jordan Lyle in there, someone that knows how to hit a hole correctly. I wouldn't want to put one of our starters back there and risk injury, but I think we can definitely do better than what we're getting out of that.
What about Bobby Washington? He ain't doing nothing.
I will just
put him back there. They put him back there with him as the other guy.
But they didn't
the blocker. Yeah, well,
but it was just a blocker. But I feel like he could definitely do it.
Yeah.
I would say Jazz's comment about our corners. Circling back to that a little bit. Some of the catches Duke was making.
Yeah.
Not just the one-handed one. There was the one on their first touchdown drive where the guy somehow he was in bounds. I know we all thought he was out of bounds in real time, but he somehow tapped that foot in. Really, all those 50-50 balls that are coming back. And that one where Kiko got beat, the reason he was out there is that was their running back grabbing the ball behind his head and pinning it to his shoulder. I mean, they were on one yesterday in terms of just making acrobatic one-on-one catches, which I think the gamble Guidry was making is Malik Murphy is not going to continuously beat us downfield. And he did for a while, basically throwing jump balls into one-on-one coverage where their receivers making ridiculous catches. Go ahead, DJ.
I didn't think Murphy, I knew Murphy was good, obviously. I mean, former Texas quarterback, of course, but I was very impressed with his ability to throw the ball downfield and at least give his receivers a chance to go up and get it. I thought he would be more of like a intermediate to short passing game type of player. I didn't realize he had that kind of deep pass in his repertoire so often.
Yeah, but like Vish just said, DJ, he just kind of chucked things.
Yeah, but that's all you got to do, though. I mean, I didn't. If you have a good receiver, you trust your receivers. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, eventually they did start getting intercepted, which is when the turnover fest started. But he did get away. I mean, most of their drives were. I mean, there was one drive in the second half where they called 40 yards of penalties on us, which wasn't great. But most. I'm
gonna get out of here, guys. I'm gonna get out of here.
All right, Jess. I'll see you on Tuesday.
We'll see you guys Tuesday.
All right, see you, Jess. There was one drive in the second half or in the first half that was heavily penalty-aided, but other than that, it was a lot of. We were singled up on the outside, and they were just throwing it up there, and they were coming down with it. Now,
that's all you gotta do, yeah.
Which is why both of the interceptions, though, the first two, I mean, were the same thing, except we were in zone and had a safety back that could just read the play and pick those off because those are floaters. And if you have a safety back there, that's playing zone, so his eyes are in the backfield. He's going to see that coming a mile away, and it's almost like catching a punt. But when it's 1-1, the defender is focused on the receiver, doesn't see the ball up there. So they did have some success with that. The other thing defensively, the tackling, again, was not great. It got a lot better later into the second half, but even their last touchdown, in that third down, it was like 3rd and 11, I think. They checked it down, had him stop for like 3 or 4 yards, missed the tackle. That's how they got to 4th and 1. They wouldn't have even gone for it.
Yeah.
That's a 4-point missed tackle right there. As Melissa said, I don't know that. I will say, I don't know
just
that
bring
anyone.
Melissa in here.
Do you want to? I mean, we got a live show at the team store later. I think she's prepping for that, but she's got the link if she wants to come in here. But I do think when we talk about playing a complete game, this is going to bite us against better teams.
I do agree 100%.
If you miss miss the key tackles, I mean, their first drive, if Porter makes that tackle, they might not even score. It's 14-0 again. We might not have to. Those little plays allow them to build off of. But I haven't seen anyone in the country play complete games, so I don't think we're that when they start. I think we nitpick our own team, and you look at other teams. Who's playing a complete game?
No, I agree.
You've got the link.
Yeah, come on in. So I mean, but I agree with you, and I mean, it's just if you're playing like Georgia, it could be 35-7 in the first half if you play like that.
Not with their offense.
No, but I'm just saying, they're
that'll be the what is it? It's the reverse of the cliche. The movable object against the immovable force, but it's the other way around or whatever. Because it's our defense against their offense. Something's got to give, man. Something's got to give there. But I honestly think our offense can score on anyone because we're so balanced and dynamic. Like you can't. And we really unloaded the RPO game in this game. You had a lot of success with that, which we hadn't used as much of this year. We done play action, but not a lot of straight up RPO, and that worked really well too. We also, Blue, we talked last week about how FSU got us with a bunch of blitzes. I saw we were leaving in a second blocker a lot this week. Had 2 in the backfield, kind of flanking, and picked up all of that stuff because we know Manny loves to blitz. So really good adjustment there. I thought our offensive coaching was excellent. That touchdown to Jacoby, we set that up in the first half because we were in the bunch formation through to the single side, so they crept the safety over the next time we lined up that way, and that opened up the play over the top. Like I think Dawson's doing it. I know obviously Cam Ward's the best player in the country, so that makes all offensive coordinators look a little smart. But I think Dawson's doing an amazing job.
Great job.
Got to give a shout out to Cam McCormick. Cam
McCormick. Man, all you guys got involved. I mean, do you get okay? All right, so do you get credit for Elijah Lofton scoring a rushing touchdown? Does that count as a tight end touchdown?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. And,
but everybody, Riley Williams, everybody got in there. And his receivers, he doesn't just look for one, although Restrepo's pretty reliable. But, everybody, everybody, all the receivers are getting involved. And I agree, offensively, they can match up with anybody. The thing that scares me, if you start getting a good offensive team that you're playing against, I don't know if the defense is going to
but in a way, I mean, if bad offensive team, you can only score 1 touchdown on possessions.
Yeah, well.
All right, before I let Melissa
tackling and the coverage because of no defensive line pressure. I mean,
yep. All right, before I let Melissa in, let's play Underdog, and then I'll let her on the back half of this. That bouncing ball can only mean one thing. It's time to hoop. And with Underdog Fantasy, you can play higher or lower on all your favorite players, like Miami's own Tim Hardaway Jr. I love Underdog's Win Now feature, which lets you cash out whenever you want. So join over 5 million fans that are already playing on Underdog. And with their Champs game, you could win money by making entries with your favorite players. Download the app today and use code 5REASONS to get up to $1,000 in bonus cast instantly. That's UnderdogFantasy.com and the offer code 5REASONS to get up to $1,000 in bonus cast. That is FIVEREASONS. Must be 18 or older, 19 or older in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 or older in Colorado for some games, 21 or older in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. That's 1-800-639-8783 or text NEXT STEP 888-253-3342. And you are called the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY.
Wow, was that your graphics? Did you do that?
Yeah, I redid the ad. They gave us a new script, so I had to redo it. And
I don't know how you
neat.
I spruced it up that time and shortened it a little bit too.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's let Melissa in here.
Hey, Melissa.
The graphics were like Star Wars at the beginning.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say.
Yeah.
Star Wars. That's crazy.
Anyway,
How you doing?
Tired. I just rolled out of bed when you're like, come on the show. So, just throw a hoodie on, and I still got the basketball stuff up from our pod the other day.
Wow. I got the chance to finally see the Cavender twins yesterday.
But you still haven't met me, Blue.
No, I haven't. But we will get it.
Who hasn't met me? So
yeah, I haven't met anybody.
See each other in person.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I can't wait to meet all of you.
Yeah. Well,
when's the at Boston College game?
Next
Next
year,
time
right?
we play at Boston College, we all got to go up there.
We have to-
There's no excuse.
We have to go for hoops. Anyway, back to football.
You go
So
for
we- So we were talking about offense. I'll start with Melissa since she just hopped on. What'd you think of the offensive performance yesterday?
I liked the first few drives in the second half, but I don't know what we were doing in the second quarter while we had we were up 14-0, and then we went 3 and out on 3 straight incompletions. And I wasn't really sure why we weren't trying to run the ball. Our running game's been very successful. Manny Diaz defenses have been known to be terrible against the run. So I'm not sure. We had all the momentum at 14-0, and we just did 3 straight incompletions and punted, and that kind of changed everything because then Duke went and scored on the next drive. So I like our offense in parts, but we seem to have these little episodes where we stall, and I want to be scoring on every play. Or every drive, not every play, every drive.
So that might be an unrealistic expectation
Yeah,
to score on every play. Yeah, I mean, I thought Cam Ward was actually off a little bit at the beginning. Even the touchdown threw to Restrepo, he underthrew and it got tipped.
oh yeah.
Yeah,
He was rolling out on that, so I don't know if he had full time.
But even on the first drive we didn't score on, he had, I think it was Sam Brown wide open for first down, just missed him. Like, those are uncharacteristic for him, but he wasn't really sharp at the beginning. Restrepo had a drop on the first drive. Like, we weren't necessarily. We scored a couple of touchdowns, but we didn't really feel like we were locked in there at the beginning.
No. But, you bring that up in the post-game interview, and every time he talks, though, he pretty much marches to his own drummer. And yesterday, one of the reporters said to him that, that play where you're going out of bounds and you're throwing just to nobody. And, I mean, don't you second guess yourself sometimes? And he said to the reporter, he goes, listen, I'm not changing the way I play for anybody. He says, there's going to be times that I'm going to do that, and there's going to be a pick, but there's more times than not that's going to be completed. And that's what he said. He said, I'm not going to change my style. You can't change my style because that's how I play. And, I mean, and that's just, I mean, I understand what he's saying because, it's just like Bernie Kosar when he was here and he threw sidearm. So everybody, but he was pretty damn successful doing it. So everybody always wants to change how he throws. Why? If he's getting it done, and that's the one thing about Ward, he creates. He's a street football type of guy. Go to the Volvo, taillights, and I'll hit you there type of guy. I mean, it's just, you can't say enough about somebody like that. And I think he got kind of offended because here's a reporter who probably never put on anything. He's trying to tell him, oh, you need to make this decision. You can't. Yeah, right. Well,
I do think. Go ahead.
I think Cam also needs to understand the dynamics of the game at that time. Like, yeah, he can make that throw. We've seen him make that throw a bunch of times. We've also seen him throw that and get a pick six against Cal and throw it and get intercepted at Duke. And I think when your team just goes up 8 points in the fourth quarter, there's a time to make that play, and there's a time to maybe like, let's not take the risk and just throw it away. We all know Cam can make that play, but in that situation, I'm not a football player. I'm just a fan. In that situation, I don't see why you take the risk there, even though you can make that play. It's still risky regardless.
Yeah, I mean, he's not perfect, and that's kind of the the downside to playing like that. But as I think he correctly points out, that's a situation where we benefit over the course of the season by him doing that. Right. It's he wins more than he loses on that, but to my point, and that's it. It was 39-31. It was third and like 7 or 8. We actually made holding on that play, so either it wasn't going to count. Like he's on the little sideline, he could have just thrown it out of bounds. And that's just playing the score clock situation. But yeah, I mean, he can't. You don't want him to start being conservative. Like, what are we talking about? Like overall, changing the way he plays. No, but I think overall that sequence there, again, the defense actually stepped up after that, so it didn't matter. That 39-31 ball on their 41, we didn't really play situational football there. You want to run that because Borregales is good from almost 60. You want to run the ball into field goal range first because then you go up 2 scores at worst case. And then we didn't do that. We threw multiple times, one of which I thought Jacoby could have come down with at the goal line. So it wasn't like they were bad play calls, but that I don't think our situational football was great there. And then he capped that off with the pick, which we are a little bit fortunate the Duke players kind of both ran into each other and tackle themselves because
probably would have gone for 6.
that was very nearly a pick 6.
But also hindsight's 2020. Like I sit here and I can say, oh, he needs to know the situation and all that stuff, but he makes that play and everyone's praising it like, oh my God, what a throw and catch, blah blah blah. So
well, I don't think the coaches coached that sequence well. I think you got to just again playing the scoring clock, or maybe functionally, I guess the game was over because Duke was dead, so maybe they knew that, and we were just playing ball.
But that goes back to saying when we were up 14-0, and then we go 3 and out with 3 incompletions. That I don't think that was great situational coaching either. I don't know why we didn't run the ball there. So,
I mean, one of those plays was the one where they jumped off sides, and we thought we had a shot play, and then they didn't call the offside.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Another one, again, the third down was open and just missed the throw.
Yeah.
So I don't think it was. I mean, again, those little things that then get compounded when all of a sudden the defense gives up 4 touchdowns in 4 possessions. It's like, oh, wish we could have that 14-0 possession back now, right? DJ, I don't know what your thoughts are on the offense, and we touched on tight ends earlier. But you can elaborate. Riley Williams made a cameo and made a great catch at the end too.
Riley Williams and Cam McCormick. I was so happy for Cam McCormick because it's always kind of the running joke that he's a 20th year senior and stuff like that. But to see him out there and be able to contribute, and that was a nice throw by Ward. It was kind of like a tight window throw towards the back of the end zone. So I like the fact, like all joking aside, that they are getting the tight ends involved more because that just adds another weapon to their offense. And I think they also help in terms of blocking for the run game as well. And I get it because it's hard not to throw to the outside wide receivers. They're so dynamic and they're so explosive. And then you have a guy like Restrepo who is absolutely a big time playmaker in every sense of the word. But I'm definitely glad the tight ends are getting fed a little bit more this year because that's just another element to the offense. And sometimes it's easier to read the middle of the field for a quarterback and then say the outside. So, I think, when we talk about Cam Ward and the throws he makes, I can definitely understand both sides, like why people wouldn't want him to make some of the cross-body throws or, some of the harder throws. But at the same time, I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt because he's led some pretty strong comebacks recently. And I get where he's coming from too, because he doesn't want to change the way he plays. And Miami's undefeated, and he has been a key part of this offense. But I understand both sides of it. So, I mean, I can see where fans would get frustrated, but at this point, it's working right now, and the offense is functioning well right now. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm more worried about the defensive side than the offense because I think the offense has definitely figured things out along the way.
Yeah, no, they're the offense. I mean, it's the best offense in the country,
Yeah.
and you can see why. As to Melissa's point, we have the option to run or to throw. We're very balanced. You can't take anything away, really. The offensive line continues to really play at a high level.
Yep.
Again, I think Dawson's coaching at a really high level. We made a bunch of adjustments to handle their blitz. It was not effective yesterday after Florida State had success blitzing. So, again, this is just week to week. Like you said, dude, they're already the best offense in the country, and they're getting better. There were some turnovers yesterday that you could live without, the interception and the fumble at the end where we're clearly trying to pad Cam's Heisman stats because why you throw it for the 5-yard line?
Blitz though, they literally sent the entire team.
Yeah, because they're just like, we're not going to let him throw it. If we'd handed it to Lyle, he would have got this
we were
touchdown,
trying to go for 60 there.
Well, we were trying to go for 60 and get him his what would have been his 6th touchdown pass.
Yeah.
So I think we were trying to pad his stats, which I believe would have tied Jaron Williams for the school record.
Oh, and
so I think that played into the
now
play.
Has a single season record for like most touchdowns.
Yeah, he's tied with Steve Walsh.
Yeah, but no, there's another one for like all purpose touchdowns between like throwing and everything. I think he has that.
Because he caught the one.
He caught the one.
Yeah, so that tipped him over.
And I think he ran for a couple, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he should have.
Run for a couple, but yeah, he's tied. I think for throwing touchdowns with Steve Walsh. So one more, and he has the record. So. Yeah. And it's and we still have 3 more games to play, so it's I mean,
well, it's cool that he's breaking this record, in that minute, because look, you play a lot more games now. So if he broke it in like the 14th game, it's not really the same thing as breaking it in the 9th game. Like he's doing it legitimately. A lot of these, especially, and all love to Restrepo, he's awesome, but there is a point that if you're doing career records. They play, if you stay for 4 years versus playing for 4 years, 20 years ago, you're getting another 6, 7, 8 games in.
Yeah,
so that does.
Actually, he really has another year if he wanted.
Yeah.
Restrepo didn't really play a bunch of like first.
Well, no one does.
7 games.
Yeah, but no one does, right?
But also, he didn't have a decent QB until this year either. He was doing this. I mean, some of those other guys had like Ken Dorsey and stuff. So I mean,
no, Reggie Wayne had Scott Covington and Kenny Kelly. Like that. Let's not. All right, look, you're going into my lane now. So and Blues lane, like that was it's actually the same reason though, right? Because if you played in the '80s. You weren't getting on the field until your junior year because you got Michael Irvin in front of you and stuff. Those early 9 teams were bad, so Reggie and Santana played as freshmen and got more game time. So a lot of these career records, it is a lot of, did you leave school early? Did you get on the field as a freshman because there weren't good seniors? Like I don't care who showed up. Like Andre Johnson didn't play his freshman year because Reggie Wayne, Santana Moss, and Andre King were their wide receivers. Like, sorry, you're not getting on the field. If he showed up, if he showed up 5 years later or 3 years before that, he would have been a day one starter and probably set a bunch of records too. So it's kind of, this is not to knock on Restrepo. I think it's just really cool that Cam Ward is setting single season records in like game 8, game 9. And it was more of a praise on him and just how ridiculous.
Restrepo had QBs that were throwing more interceptions than touchdowns. So, I mean, I won't tolerate any type of X-slander.
That was not X-slander. You're gaslighting people.
I agree with this, honestly, if we're being honest. I mean, because it is tough. Like, when you have, like, these 6th-year, COVID seniors and you see them break records, especially at the quarterback position, just generally speaking, it does kind of take a little bit of the steam out of the records, in my opinion.
But that's what it's going to be now with eligibility and all of that stuff. And
the COVID generation is expiring, so anyone that eclipses those records is really going to have to earn it. But as Blue said, Restrepo hasn't taken his extra year. He theoretically doesn't have to leave after this year, so he could really put that number out there if he wants to. But I think
he could have a doctorate because he's getting his master's.
I think he'll be playing on Sundays next year.
There's nothing left for X to prove at the college level. I mean, I'd love for him to be back next year, but that young man needs to be playing on Sundays already. So
I mean, again, not to. This is actually a compliment to him. He should go. He should go get his money. No reason. We're going to win the championship. Just leave on the high. Don't come back and try to repeat. It's not.
No, I mean, we'd all Miami fans would love him to stay, but
I actually that's what I'm saying. It's not a knock on him. It's in praise of him. He should go and play on the level he belongs on. It's not this
exactly.
one.
Yeah.
It's in his best interest for him.
Especially
to go
with
play
the way the NFL
level.
is right now. Teams are looking for good slot receivers and good quick guys in the open field. This is a more offensive-minded game, so I think this would be the.
And I mean, Blue talked about him earlier. We didn't mention the other thing he does very well, just block.
Yep.
Which they love on the next level because you can. Sometimes you're breaking in because NFL don't have big rosters, right? Everyone's got to, unless you're like the star wide receiver, you're playing special teams. So the fact that he blocks, he plays hard on every play. That's gonna give him a very long and lucrative career in the NFL.
Absolutely.
what was it last year? I forget what play it was. We returned a punt or a kickoff or something, and X had that like ridiculous block that freed. Was it Brashard Smith? I don't even remember. I just remember there being this like he just leveled the kicker on a block.
Oh, Brashard on that kickoff return, you mean?
I don't remember. I don't remember what it was.
Brashard Smith.
Yeah, it might have been that, but X like leveled the kicker, which sprung Brashard or something. And like, I mean,
I guess we should talk about good transition to kind of forward looking. There's a very realistic possibility at this point. There's a lot of old friends in Charlotte. Is where it looks like
that's how it's set right now. If both teams went out,
well, it's a little bit further along than that, just because Pitt and Clemson play each other. Mm-hmm. One of them's going to get a second loss. There's no one-loss teams other than Pitt and Clemson. Like there was always the 4 undefeated, then a huge drop off.
And I honestly would not be. And I said this even before they lost to Louisville last night. The Clemson is hitting the meat of their schedule right now. They have to go to Blacksburg. They still have to play Pitt. I know Pitt got destroyed by SMU, but they're still a one-loss ACC team.
And Pitt also has to play at Louisville.
Yeah,
so there's a realistic possibility they both lose again.
Yeah.
In which case, it's basically gonna almost for sure be SMU and Miami. But so there's a very realistic possibility that
might not have been on your bingo card at the beginning of the year. I'm sure.
My friends are coming in from Dallas for that game. They're gonna have a fun trip with all the SMU fans.
Vish did say 12-0 on the predictions.
Oh, I told.
But he said that last year too.
I think I said 11-1 last year.
No, I think I'm with Blue. I think you said you were.
I gotta go review. Either way, it was ridiculously idiotic. It doesn't. It's like a semantic difference. I missed by like 5 or 6 games. Doesn't really matter. But
I was almost right. I mean, I did pick us to lose at Cal, and we almost did.
You also picked us to lose to Florida. Don't rewrite him. You're gaslighting everyone on this show. So did Melissa here. Anyway, 7 wins from a national championship. So we got Georgia Tech coming up. Atlanta. That game time was announced as noon.
Another noon. I think they're going to have noon the rest of the way.
Another noon game.
I hope Wake Forest isn't noon. I want to tailgate one more time.
Wow, you also missed the FSU ones. It's been a bit for you. I guess I'll start with you, DJ, and then we'll get DJ and Blues, and we'll get Melissa's prediction since she won't be on Tuesday, but Jazz and I will be. But DJ, just your initial, before we get into picks, we'll do that separately. Your initial thoughts on Georgia Tech.
I think Georgia Tech is a tough team defensively. They showed it earlier this year with FSU. Now I understand FSU is not who we all thought they would be, or maybe who they are we thought they would be, but Georgia Tech is tough defensively. So, I do expect them to give Miami a little bit of a challenge. It's not to say that Ward won't be able to overcome the challenge because, like we just talked about, him, Restrepo, George, it's the most dynamic offense in the country. But I don't expect Miami to just be able to walk up and down the field. I'd love to see the running game get a little bit more involved as well. And, I'd love to, Georgia Tech is a tough team. Like I said, Georgia Tech is a tough team. So I think this game might be a little bit closer than we want, but I still feel like we can pull out a victory.
What about you, Blue?
You have 2 offensive line coaches as head coaches in Brett Key and Mario. And then certainly, it's especially when we kind of admitted that our defensive front wasn't playing extremely well. I think he's going to try to look into that and see what they can do blocking wise to maybe open up some avenues. I don't know if King healthy yet. Is he going to play or no? Because he's been out. He was out last.
Yeah, they've been playing Zach Pyron. I'm not sure what his status is.
They've been saving him to play us.
Yeah, well, he makes a difference. Obviously, he's a different type of quarterback with a lot of experience. I'm with DJ. I think Miami wins the game. I think it's like a 35-14, 35-20 type of game. I think Miami will go in as 10-point favorites, or I don't even know.
I haven't seen the opening line yet. It should be.
I'm sure it'll be like Miami 9 or 10. Just because it's a road game, and I just think that Miami needs. And here's the thing too. Now that they got that running game cooking a lot, even they went for 140 yesterday, but I just think that you got Martinez has finally figured it out. Sometimes they get frustrated when they run him tackle to tackle all the time. But that's the scheme that they're running. But yeah, I think Miami wins it. I think they go to 10-0, and then take that week off and see what happens when they get back here against Wake Forest. And obviously, as we see, Syracuse they could beat you. So that's. But let's look at next week first. Georgia Tech.
Yeah, Virginia Tech did it again, 21-3 in the third quarter. They blew it. Now Kyron Drones didn't even play that game. They did that with backup quarterback. So them building that lead with the backup is they're almost a really good team, and then they do that. That's the third time. They blew a 10-point fourth quarter lead to Vanderbilt. They obviously blew the lead to us, and now
it's like the biggest what could have been because they're on the verge.
But I can see why everybody picked them at the beginning of the year to be one of the best in the conference because, when Miami played them, I mean, you could see defensive line-wise they were good. They had good linebackers. They were big up front, and they had a quarterback who made plays. So, we'll see. Maybe the way that maybe Georgia Tech's King's a game time decision. But I was going to say the way that Georgia Tech will get King back, I think that Drones will be ready for Clemson because that's going to be huge. It'll be I think it's going to be 7:00 game, 7:30 kickoff, Virginia Tech and Clemson. It's homecoming. It's Enter Sandman and all that. And I think that's going to be a good game. Both of them are coming off of losses that they didn't expect to lose. But you got to give Louisville credit. They don't stop.
I have to just so I do think Louisville's a good team. I have a feeling Clemson's not. They got played off the field by Georgia,
I'm not a huge fan of Clemson either.
And then they beat a bunch of bad teams, and then Louisville.
Their schedule was weaker than ours.
Well, till the now. Well, because
we're like Virginia and Wake Forest.
But that's because the tough part of their schedule is now, right? We played ours already. That's why we're just trying to see out Georgia Tech, Wake, and Syracuse right now because we already went through. We played at Virginia Tech, at Cal. We played Virginia Tech at Cal, at Louisville, Florida State in a row. That is a murderer's row, and just came out clean the other side. Now it's like, they don't play anyone else. Yeah, because we already did.
Yeah, already did.
Well, honestly, once we beat Louisville, I was actually the most concerned about the Georgia Tech game. And assuming Haynes King plays, I worry about that just because of the mobile QB and containing the edges.
And they've been waiting for this game too. So.
And they definitely have been waiting. And I think Miami players have been waiting for it too, especially the ones on the team from last year. So I was a little bit more concerned about Georgia Tech than I was about Syracuse. Obviously playing away in the Dome, last game of the season could be, for an undefeated regular season. Obviously there's a lot at stake there, but I honestly was more concerned about the Georgia Tech game. If Haynes King plays and is healthy, I think that could be another type of shootout situation where then Miami pulls away in the fourth quarter. Hi, Crip.
Yeah. Mario's demons here there.
Yeah.
So he'll be in the Ring of Honor. And then Parrish has some questions on the defense. We talked about that a lot earlier. Yeah, we did mention mixing in some zone. But I think we are still going to primarily be a man-to-man team because that's what we play. So I think we could use more zone, but I don't think we're going to go predominant. We're not going to. It's game 10, man. You don't just completely change systems. You are what you are at this point. I would say that very few teams, if any, would have gone 4-0 in that stretch of games. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Rivalry games hit different. I know FSU is bad, but that was basically their Super Bowl this year because of how their season's been going.
I just want to call out that Tennessee lost to Arkansas. This is nonsense standards we hold our team to versus others.
Georgia struggled against Florida with their third string QB.
Right.
Don't let that score fool you. That was late fourth quarter shenanigans scores.
In a world where, Alabama's losing to Vanderbilt, playing a bunch of road games and rivalry games in sequence is not easy.
And then Duke also, that's the former coach. That had some meaning too. That was a significant stretch of our schedule.
Yeah, no, FSU sucks. It's still a rivalry game, and it was at the end of a 4-game stretch of 2 road games and another rivalry game. We had to fly across country too. there's a running joke that SEC teams never leave the Southeast. We took like the longest flight in America, and then had a 10:30 p.m. kickoff and still won. So I mean, again, there's not a lot of teams that can navigate that.
Miami in general, prior to the new teams coming to the ACC, had to like travel the most because of where we're located and conjunction with like all these North Carolina, Virginia teams and all of that. And then you add Cal and Stanford and SMU, and now Miami's really traveling. So, I mean, let's not
have a trip to upstate New York left.
Yeah, but let's not forget like that was a 7:30 kick on the West Coast at Cal, so 10:30 here. I mean, that
actually didn't go out to a quarter of 11, almost 10 of 11 because
I was exhausted.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, that was well. I mean, that's more your time zone. 10:30 p.m. kickoff fits you better than a noon kick. But
no, it was that 8 in the morning flight that had me tired.
So how is it that we've gone this far? We haven't talked about last year's Georgia Tech game because
I mentioned
because we don't want to talk about it.
We haven't drilled into it though. Like, I mean, I feel like we're going to be inundated with a week of kneeling the ball jokes. I feel like that is on its way, obviously. But I do think
is we need to get a very like a big win. It can't be in question, and I want Mario to take a knee at the end of the game.
I think he should start. I think he should start. I want to be up by like 30 and have him start
himself
kneeling.
or the team.
The whole team on the sideline goes down, and we start kneeling with 5 minutes left in the game. Just start taking knees.
It's gotta be a big enough all week. That's going to be the conversation on Twitter. Is Miami lost last year because they didn't take a knee and all of that stuff.
But I will say, like, that was a game where the offense struggled some. They had their moments and had some explosives, but didn't consistently move the ball until that last meltdown by the defense. They were really good. They did limit Haynes King. I don't even think he threw for 200 yards despite throwing for 80 on the last drive. Yeah, well, it was multiples on that last drive. It was 2 plays. They went the length of the field. But we actually did do a reasonable job containing him in their offense, which is a good sign for this. Because, look, I mean, if all you have to do is kneel the ball to win, you kind of won the game, right? I mean, it's a loss in the schedule and it should be, but when you talk about how the game was played, there's a lot to bring forward with obviously a significantly better offense, and our defense did do a reasonable job on him last year. So it's been a long time. Other than the Florida State game, our defense has not looked good for weeks. So we'll see. But that is
I think the question is, can their defense stop our offense?
No, the answer is no. No one can stop our offense. So
if we can put up 40 plus a game, I have confidence in us to win.
Yeah, no, and we actually can do that. I mean, we've hit 50. 5-6 times this year already.
The 2 games when we didn't score 40, it got very close.
But those were also high 30s though.
Yeah, but I'm saying and I tweeted it yesterday because I was trying not to rage tweet during halftime, but I was just like, we need to score 40 plus to win games.
I mean, this is like a as we say on Buckets, a hodgepodge of crap, man. I don't even know what you're saying here. You got emojis going. You're switching languages. We were discussing the quarterback who did not have a good game against us last year that is still on the team. Anyway, yeah. I mean, our West Coasters are getting the 9 a.m. kick. This is brutal.
No, but I also disagree with that. I think games that have happened recently in the past few seasons, especially the games that have happened while Mario was the coach, I think that's a very big deal. And the players that were on that team 2 years ago when we lost 45-3 to FSU, you don't think that came to their mind when they were playing FSU the other week?
I think you're trying.
They blew the GT game.
I think you're trying to unpack a load of nonsense in the Anyway, we ready to do some predictions and show and tell?
Sure, yeah.
All right, DJ, you can lead us off here.
38-27 Miami. This defense is terrible.
35-17 Miami.
You said 35 or 45?
35.
35.
Okay. 45-27 Miami.
All right, and I will save my prediction for Tuesday's show as always. So
That's
Jazz
right.
and I will be on Tuesday. But all right, we all got a Miami win. I didn't see the line yet. I usually like to read the line out before predictions, but We did cover yesterday. 21.5. Got it.
Yeah, you did.
I thought that spread was a little lengthy, but that's okay. We still covered it.
He's trying to run it up. Trying to run it up there at the end and get Cam another touchdown. I want 60. Terrence has Miami 42, GT 31.
All right.
The guy that always says 45-42. We'll see him on Tuesday.
Yeah. Ralph better come in with the 45 too.
Honestly, you might see me on Tuesday too. I don't know yet, but you might see me. I might pop in.
Are you gonna give up the election? Come on now.
Yeah,
DJ's going to an election party, but
yeah,
I won't be around.
voted
It's
early.
date night. It's date night with my mom on Tuesday.
There you go. Well, that's a good one. All right, DJ, guys, technology now, because I got a good one here for you today. This was a 1987 Miami, South Carolina game, if you remember that one.
I've seen the highlights. I don't remember it in real time.
Yeah, this was a night game.
There was a big fight in that game, right, Blue?
Yep, and Todd Ellis was a quarterback because they sacked Todd Ellis in the game and did a little bit hard, so they tried to come back and even the score up with Miami. But that's I still remember the game because I was working at the time for WIOD, and I was actually down on the sideline right before that fight started. But I will let me just tell you who. Let's see, who was it? That I was just trying to look back and see who made that sack.
Was it Stubbs that threw him down and then caused the fight?
It was Stubbs that threw him down, but I think Bill Hawkins was the one
Okay.
that actually made the thing. But yeah, this is I was looking at this the other day. I said, this is a good one. This is a good little program to bring out. I have some from back in the 60s, 70s, but I think people watching us now would more be apt to go with that. But that's it. And
DJ probably wasn't even alive in 1987.
No way. I was
You
even
weren't
born
alive.
in 95,
I was
Yeah,
alive.
Melissa
in
was
1987.
alive,
I was
yes.
born in 86.
okay.
All right,
Yeah. So I'm sure you were following that game.
I for sure, my 1-year-old self was enamored by it.
Yeah.
I wasn't even a thought in 87. Yeah. Or 87.
Well, I was well into that. But yeah, it was there was a lot of those night games that they played back in that time, and because Miami is always on, and that was, I believe that was a Saturday night. They had a Thursday night, but that was when I forgot the name of the quarterback, but I think it was 85, 86. But you see, back in the 60s, in the 70s, Miami played Army Navy every year. Army, Navy, and Notre Dame, they played almost every year. So they but those Army Navy games where Miami at least got wins, But I don't know if Miami. I like to see Miami play Army right now. Army's not terrible either. So, but they'll get killed when they have to play somebody like Navy did.
I don't know. Army could be the 12th.
Yeah,
the 12 team in there, upset the 5 seed. And,
I don't know. I think
It's looking like Boise State.
Yeah, I think Boise State, and I'll tell you what, you'd hate to get Boise State in that first round.
Well, those are poverty schools issues. We're going to win the ACC and get a bye, so you don't play the first round. All right, so definitely check us out Tuesday. Jazz and I will be holding down the fort. We're gonna be reacting also to the college football playoff rankings that are coming out at 7 p.m. We're going live at 8:30. We'll talk about that, do a little bit more of the Georgia Tech preview, and also come by the team store at 2 p.m. Melissa and I will be there hosting Buckets live from the team store. Yep. Also be available on your YouTubes. So if you're not able to make it out there, definitely check us out live. We'll be previewing the women's season, which starts tomorrow, 11 a.m. The women play. They do a school children thing to start the game, to start the season off, and the men are at 7. We also previewed the men's season earlier in the middle of last week, so check that out on our podcast feed, which is the 5 Reasons Canes podcast. Search for that. Get all of our content, including this show right here that you are listening to. Thanks, DJ Blue. Melissa, thanks for impromptu hopping in. And we'll talk to you all in a couple hours, actually.
The 6 Rig Kane Show. Yeah. The 6 Rig Kane Show. Yeah. The 6 Rings Kane Show. You know.